this evening to recognize, honor, and celebrate an extraordinary group of American heroes. To our very special guests tonight, our veterans, our superintendent, Dr. Quincy Moore, school board members in attendance, Gaffney High School staff members, Mr. Duncan, our students on the program, and our students who participated in the project, parents, and community members. Welcome to our program. At this time, please stand for the presentation of the colors, Pledge of Allegiance, and the national anthem.
Right, forward, heart, left, right, left. Left, right, David, heart, color gone, hold.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Raise it, arm.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed. And the rocket's red glare, love bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
Order, out. Mark down, mark, left, right pivot, mark. Forward, mark, left, right. Color gone, hold out.
You may be seated.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I work for all my life, and I'd have to start again, just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend us till the
today. We especially thank you for the veterans who sacrificed their time, health, strength, and in some cases their lives for the benefit of others. Continue to bless them and the coming generations in our country. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Good evening. I think everybody here knows who I am. I'm Todd Humphreys. I'm the Veterans Affairs Officer here for Cherokee County. And was asked to come and speak to you just a few minutes tonight for our guest speaker. Everybody that knows me understands what I do for our veterans. I'm the person who helps our veterans with VA. I'm here for my staff and myself are the ones who are helping make you successful with the Veterans Affairs and the federal government. And I know every veteran here, we try to help. I guess what I wanted to speak to you now about our Vietnam veterans. Last summer, we were able to honor our Vietnam veterans with medals and certificates and thank them for our service. And it was a great day. It was hot, but it was good. We did our Korean War veterans a couple of years ago. And when I was asked to help with this book and was asked about the book and what I thought about it, anytime we can honor our veterans with their stories and memories, that needs to be done. This is history that once they're gone, we'll never get. And I wish we could have done this 20 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago, because we've lost so many Vietnam veterans. There's a lot of veterans in Cherokee County that have passed away that maybe somewhere in the Bureau or there's a tape that they told the story of their military service. But it's great that our young ladies and young men have gained and thought get to put down for prosperity. Because everybody has a sacrifice. Every soldier, Marine, Airman, Navy personnel, they sacrifice for their country. If they went to Vietnam, or if they had to stay back and train troops, or whatever their job was, they sacrifice. You sacrifice when you leave your family. You sacrifice when you send all your money home to take care of your mother. I remember the stories, and I hear everybody's story. I wish I could remember to write down every story that comes to my office, and we'd have another book. So many servicemen send their checks home to their parents during World War II, during Vietnam, during Korea, to take care of their mothers and their fathers. And when I look at our veterans today, who's taking care of them? And it's our young people, it's the young men and women here today. Every time we do a veterans program, we try to get our young community involved because that's our future. That's our future for Memorial Day. That's our future for Veterans Day. And that's our future for honoring veterans just like today. They need to understand the sacrifices made by you and why you went and served your country. That someday that they may not have to. That's what I told my children when I joined the Army. And the last time I was deployed to Iraq, my son was a teenager, and he's got a hearing deficit in his left ear. And he said, I want to go in the Army. And I said, you won't be able to. You can't hear good. And he said, I want to go. So I said, well, let's try it and see. But I told him why. I said, I went before you. You don't need to go. And my grandfather fought in World War II. He was hoping that his son won't have to go. We don't know what tomorrow lies, what tomorrow brings. But we serve honorably. You would serve honorably. We appreciate your service. We just appreciate what every veteran has done for Cherokee County. And we try to be proactive in honoring our veterans. About a year ago, the director of the Veterans Affairs in South Carolina spoke to all the VA officers and said, the Department of Defense and the Obama administration has set forth the next 3 years, 2015, 16, and 17, to honor our Vietnam veterans' 50th year anniversary. And he said, some of y'all have jumped the gun and done it early. So, I stood up and said, I don't need the president or the Department of Veterans Affairs to tell me when to honor our veterans. We honor our veterans every day in Cherokee County. And I believe that. We honor them just like we're doing today. And I can't do it without your help. And we appreciate you coming to our events, going to see our Veterans Park, the support in our office and the different veteran organizations in the community. That helps us. We appreciate what our veterans have done for us and what they continue to do. Our veterans work hard in this community, doing funerals, working at the Veterans Park, putting on parades, Veterans Day activities, Memorial Day activities. I've always said this the last 6 years I've been doing this job. Our community needs to do it for the veterans. The veterans do not need to do it for themselves. Now, we haven't accomplished that yet, but we will. But our community, City of Gaffney, Cherokee County, Blacksburg, needs to come together somehow and do something together for our veterans. Right now, the veterans organizations are doing it for the veterans. We're kind of off track with it. So we're working on that. But I do appreciate what Mr. Duncan and the Gaffney High School has done. This is a great way to preserve history, preserve those stories and those sacrifices made by so many. I was listening to Ronald Reagan speak about freedom today, and on a sound bite. America hadn't changed, its people's changed. America's principles are still the same. The principles of our fathers are still the same today as they were yesterday. We have lost focus in a way. But the main principle for America is freedom. These men and women fought for freedom. The men and women that came before them fought for freedom. And as long as we stand for freedom, our country will always be the great country that it is today. Once we put freedom on the back burner, then it will no longer be America. Freedom is what our principles were founded, why our country was founded, was freedom. And these men that served in Vietnam gave us that freedom, and we still enjoy that freedom and because of their sacrifice. I appreciate the opportunity of speaking to you. If I could ever be of any assistance to you and your family, let me know. But I've got the best job in the world. I just really enjoy honoring and serving our veterans, and I just appreciate you, the community, putting that trust and faith in me that what we're doing is beneficial to you, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of our school district, I'm here to welcome you this evening to what is just one of the finest programs and projects that we've ever undertaken. My name is Quincy Moore, and I'm the superintendent of the school district, and just so happy to be here tonight to bring you a little perspective on the history of the project. I became the Gaffney High principal back in 2001, and when you take on a job like that, you want to try and leave your mark in whatever capacity you can. And so one afternoon, I had left school and I went down to my father's station. For those of you in the audience that know, my father was Johnny Little, and he ran a service station downtown for over 40 years. And I pulled in, and one of his friends, or as Daddy would say, his cronies, was there. And if you knew anything about my father, about that station, there was a lot of problems solved down there, downtown Main Street, and then when he moved up later on to Bernie Street. And one of his friends, Mr. Boyd McLean, was there talking to my father. And so as soon as I walked in, Mr. McLean said, "Quincy, sit down, I got to talk to you, I got something for you to do." And so he was telling me about a project that was taking place in his hometown in North Carolina, Fairview, North Carolina, at a high school named Terry Sanford High School. Terry Sanford used to work in Fort Mill and then went on to become the state superintendent in North Carolina. And so I sat down and I said, okay, and he told me about a project that they were working on, honoring the veterans, and what they were doing to commemorate the history, the oral history of what the sacrifices that these veterans had made. So I listened to him very intently, and then I came back, and I called in Mr. David Smith, who was a social studies teacher here at Gaffney High School at the time, and also the department chair. And I said, David, I want you to do something for me. I've got kind of a mission, and I cannot let my father down, nor Mr. Boyd McLean. So I explained to him the project. And he said, I'm more than happy to take this on. And so there were 4 history teachers at the time, Mr. Ireton, Mr. Mark Ireton, Mr. Damon Barnhill, Mr. Terry Crocker, and Mr. David Smith. And so what they did, we decided at the time to honor the World War II veterans at the time. And I think we took on about 50 that year. And we publicized the book for the first time, and my father was in the audience. It was a very, very, very special occasion for me. But it set a precedent here at our school that we were about patriotism, that we were about veterans, and that we cared about our local history. And we publicized that book, and we honored the veterans, and they carried on that project for another 5 years. Then Mr. Smith went on to become an assistant principal. And then a year after that, Mr. Billy Pennington produced the book. And then a couple years later, Dr. Frank Wilson produced a book. So I am so happy that Mr. George Duncan and his students have taken on this project, because I cannot think of anything more important to our young people than to understand the generational history of our own community and of our own veterans. So I'm so proud that you have revived this project, because I think it's a fantastic one, and to see what Mr. Duncan has done, the level of where the book is today to where we started back in 2002 is incredible. So I thank you, Mr. Duncan, I thank the students, but most importantly, I thank you, the veterans, for what you've done for our community and for our country, and the sacrifices that you've made. And we are so happy to honor you tonight for everything that you've done for us. Thank you.
Hello, I'm U.S. Senator Tim Scott. I wish I could be there with you all today, but as you all know, I'm in D.C. serving the great folks of South Carolina. Congratulations to Gaffney High School's AP U.S. History class for publishing a book dedicated to the brave men and women who fought for our nation. I'm talking about our Vietnam veterans. They are true American heroes, and it is our responsibility to thank them for their service and their allegiance. You all took the time to interview South Carolina's Vietnam vets, and that is wonderful. Your book is one way we can show appreciation for these people who put their lives on the line for our freedom. Again, congratulations on publishing a book that focuses on a very important era in our nation's history. God bless.
We were hoping to have Mr. Scott come down and join us, and he said, if you decide to have it on Thursday where I can sneak out of Washington, D.C. early, I can make it. He said, but on a Tuesday, he said someone would probably question it. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker tonight, and first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank these kids over here for doing an outstanding job on this book. When you see it, the book and the way it's put together, we were kind of unsure when I first decided back in the summer in taking over the project. Being a veteran myself and coming from a long line of veterans, and my son is in the military, it was something that I felt like I could embrace, and something that I could take the reins on and I could run with it, and that we could, continue to honor our veterans, because like Todd said, we joined the military so our kids won't have to. And so taking care of our veterans is a very important undertaking that we should take on as a community. The gentleman I'm about to introduce retired after 22 years as the aerospace science instructor at Gaffney High School. Prior to that, he was on active duty with the United States Air Force for 21 and a half years. He is a native of Spartanburg and a graduate of Spartanburg High School and Spartanburg Methodist College. He attended Clemson University for 2 years prior to joining the Air Force. Upon graduating from the Aviation Cadet Program, he flew the world's best jet fighter aircraft, including the F-86, the F-100, the F-104, and the F-105. His overseas assignments included Spain, Libya, Okinawa, and Thailand. He flew 68 combat missions over North Vietnam before he was shot down. He was captured and spent 6.5 years as a prisoner of war. Upon release, he was assigned to the Air War College in Montgomery, Alabama. While there, he earned a Master of Science in Counseling and Guidance at Troy State University. He lives with his wife, Ruth, in Spartanburg. They have a son, Dr. Kevin D. Ballard, who is deceased, was the Director of Research and Development with the National Medical Services in Pennsylvania. His awards include the Silver Star, the Legion of Merit, 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 2 Bronze Stars for Valor, 8 Air Medals, and 2 Purple Hearts. It is my honor and my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Lieutenant Colonel Arthur T. Ballard Sr. Jr.
Honored to be here with these veterans tonight. I just feel close to everybody. Bill saying about your brothers in arms and something. Well, that's true. That's true. I feel like I know everybody. I hope I can get around and speak to all the veterans tonight. So I'm just deeply honored to be here with you. I know as was mentioned, the veterans are growing older, diminishing, dying, passing on. So I'm glad that you folks are remembering us while we're still alive. We've got Memorial Day coming up very soon. Of course, that's for those that have given their lives to help us stay much free. I appreciate the color card. I see that over there. Chief Byers, these guys are sharp. We're going to do an excellent job with this program. I appreciate it. I think the IRS appreciate it. And I really think it ought to be mandatory for all first grade or first year students, junior officers. It's really amazing what that program does. And I'm not sure if everybody realizes it or not, but the leadership training that they get, self-discipline, self-responsibility, it's just amazing. And these retired officers do an excellent job in providing that. What a beautiful convention of the national anthem. And we have over here, I don't know who the group's name is. Every time I hear that song, the national anthem, I'm not ashamed to admit that you not see a tear coming down my eye. We didn't have any music, didn't have it. So once in a while, camp radio would come on and say, now you will listen to traditional one-string instrument. It was awful. An essay on that, I'll give it to you. So thank you, students. Thank you, faculty members, for allowing these students to give this program. I didn't know quite what to think, but Mr. Duncan called me and emailed me and wanted to know if I'd come and speak to him. I know what they were doing and so forth. I said, sure, I'll do it. Then one night or one evening, after these 2 lovely young ladies came in and did an excellent job. Amazed with the integrity they have, the spirit, and the way they're attempting to learn things. I know that many of you veterans, Vietnam veterans, came home and really were not honored like we're doing tonight, we're being honored tonight. Not only that, but some of you were dishonored. As you well know and well remember, that you weren't treated very well at all when you came home. But when the POWs came home, we were treated entirely different. I think the American people were just glad that long and expensive war was over. But everywhere we went, we were treated as heroes. Rightly or wrongly, that's the way we were treated. Everybody asked us to speak, various functions. We got a choice of assignments, whatever we wanted to do. I chose to go down to the Air War College at Montgomery, Alabama, which is a school for senior ranking officers. I was hoping I could get back on flying status, but I couldn't. I know right after I came home, a great physical was given to it. And they discovered a bad part in my head. I guess I'd been kicked in the head during one of the torture sessions. So they had to cut that part out and put in some acrylic plastic. So they wouldn't let me fly airplanes anymore. They didn't know how that would affect hydrogen turns and oxygen and all that kind of stuff. So not only do I have a plate in the head, I've got just had eye surgery recently. And a robotic laser thing. It's really something. You get there, they take out your cataracts and then stick in a new lens. The only thing is, I see great distance. But up here, I haven't got any glasses. I have to memorize. So it's great to be included in this book. I'm so glad you did it. I'll talk a little while about a couple of things that happened in the field living camps. The first 4 years we were there, it was very bad. A lot of torture going on. Everybody got tortured one way or another. And just bad treatment after that. Until their president, Ho Chi Minh, passed away. And I think they used that as an excuse to begin treating us somewhat better. They knocked off all the mass torture in the prison. There was still something going on when they wanted somebody to go down and talk to Jane Fonda or something like that. They had to torture, do so. And 1970, in the fall of 1970, the American commandos attempted to rescue some prisoners from one of the camps there, a place called Sante, not too far where I was camped at that time. Unfortunately, the POWs had been moved out of that about 2 or 3 months earlier. And when the commandos landed, they were places were injured. I think they did get some Vietnamese guards who were still there. But the very next day, they took all of us. We were in several, 5 or 6 different camps spread out around Hanoi. Took us downtown to this prison named Wallow. It'd been great, built by the French back sometime right after World War II, I think. We call it the Hanoi Hilton. You probably heard that term before. But for the first time now, we were all in the same camp. This camp consisted of 8 or 9 fairly large cells joined together, surrounding a huge courtyard. And anywhere from 40 to about 55 men were in each one of these cells. So for the first time we're all together now, we became organized militarily, not only military, formed committees and so forth, but academically, religiously. Academically, now you can imagine that most of us are college graduates, fire pilots, various ranks all the way from second lieutenant up to colonel, or full colonel. Well educated. Any subject you could think of would have somebody who knew something about it, and they would teach it to you in each one of these cells. So we have a pretty good academic program there. The Vietnamese more or less left us alone. One of the first things we wanted to do was conduct religious programs, and they would not let us. They were afraid of small group gatherings. A couple of men had attempted an escape a couple of years earlier, but that failed. And as a result of the attempt, they caught the 2 men and brought them back. And one of them, they were all tortured. And one of them was tortured to death. If they didn't stop there, they tortured everybody, especially the senior ranking men in each cell. tortures you just, you know, it's unbelievable, really. But anyway, back in the big prison camps now, they just really didn't want anybody else to attempt an escape. They guarded the others there. They were just afraid that if we gathered in small groups, we'd be talking about how to escape and do it and so forth. So, we really wanted to start a religious program. Now, in this group of cells, the senior ranking men were in the cell next to mine. They had the colonels and the admirals, or captain, maybe captain, and so forth. And they were a tough, really tough bunch of men. Most of them had lived in solitary confinement for 2-4 years. Really, really bad. These guys, they were something else. They were determined to start something. So they all jumped up and one evening, Saturday night, started singing the national anthem, God Bless America. And then my room, we joined. We were all singing. Pretty soon, every cell in the compound was singing the patriotic song. I mean, wow. I'm sure everybody didn't know it in years. Well, of course, that aggravated the Vietnamese. They began going into each room, armed guards, and removing the senior ranking men. They came into my cell and removed the major, who was the senior ranking man, the SRO, we call him. And as he was leaving, the second ranking man called us to attention, and we all recited the Lord's Prayer out loud. So that aggravated the Vietnamese, so they took him out. The third man called us to attention, and we recited the Lord's Prayer out loud. I think we lost about 5 senior ranking men in my cell, and the same thing was happening in all the other cells. They took several out of the cell number 7, which is next to us, the senior ranking guy. They took them somewhere else in the camp and put them in leg irons and wrist irons and short rations and plastic silver ones. But they relented and let us conduct religious services. So we did. But they told us you could only have 5 men singing in the choir. They'll have 2 armed guards in the room with you. And sure enough, they did. They'd have a guy with a bayonet down here and another down here watching us. So we had a short program. It lasted not more than 10 minutes, according to those. But eventually the guards, they were pretty lazy. They decided they didn't want to come in anymore, so they stayed outside. So we escalated that in our religious program. It was a pretty good program. We had about 15 men in the choir. And I enjoyed listening to them. They practiced during the week. I didn't sing, but they wouldn't even let me sing the amen part. So things changed quite a bit for us. We did a lot of things as a group. One of the things that was organized, not too long after we were there, was what we call a patriotic gallery. And the senior ranking man appointed me to be the patriotic officer. So what I did was once a week, usually on Sunday afternoon when the guards weren't around very much, I would ask the state band to conduct a service that day on a certain hour, a few minutes in there. He'd stand up and tell us something patriotic that occurred in his life. And I'll never forget one young man, lieutenant at the time, Leo Hyatt, from Florida. He was one of the most pessimistic men we had. He didn't think we were ever going to get out of there. We'd been there 5, 6, some guys been there about 7 years at that time. And anyway, he stood up and he started talking. He was remembering parade, Veterans Parade. I'm not sure if it was a Memorial Day or Veterans Day. I can't remember what day it was. But he would describe these soldiers marching down the street, the band playing. And he defined it and described it so vividly, you could just see it, hear what was going on. And he got reminiscent about it, and you could see tears coming out of his eyes. And the last thing he said, I'll never forget, he said, I wonder if we will be remembered. You still have a long way to go to get out of jail. So Well, he's no longer with us, but he is remembered. I'll tell you one more story. I know, as I mentioned, veterans are getting older and older, and things happen physically and mentally to us. And sometimes we need some encouragement, just some courage to carry on. That first week I was captured, or my confinement there, I was a little bad torture. I had a broken leg, and part of the torture was bending and twisting my broken leg. And this type of torture went on for about 5 or 6 days, night. Of course, they wanted some information from me. They wanted some military information. They wanted me to write a letter to some congressman back here in the United States, bad-mouthing the United States. And they wanted me to write a war crimes confession, all of which I refused to do. And they got worse. I recall one time they were asking me questions about what type of tactics we were using to deliver the bombs. My particular squadron had this squad shut down again using some different tactics. That is, we're attempting to use the time release of the bombs, coming in a certain distance from the target, time that release the bombs and so forth. I'm not sure how accurate that way, but they wanted to know what we were doing, that type of mission for and tactics. And I told them, I can't answer that. And the pain got so bad that one time he asked me a question, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't think I could take any more torture. I got had it. So I said a prayer that went something like this. Dear God, please give me the courage to say no to this man one more time. So I looked up at him and said, no. He stared at me for a while, and he gathered up his papers, and he left us the room. And I would never again ask any questions along those lines. So as we get older, anytime you feel yourself in trouble, just thank God for courage. I call that my prayer for courage, and I used it over the years, and it always worked. Again, folks, thank you for doing this project. I really appreciate it. And all the best you do. Thank you, and God bless all.
At this time, we're going to be calling the veterans up along with the students who interviewed them, and the students are going to present them with a copy of the book, and it is American Veterans, True Accounts of Cherokee County Soldiers, Vietnam War Edition, Volume 1. And we plan on doing a lot more volumes and try to put these students in touch with a lot more veterans and, have them share their stories. And it came time to create the certificate, and I said, it's got to be something that it's got to be great. And I went back and I started looking through some of my dad's stuff and some of my uncles, and I found this, and so I came up with it, and it's basically a certificate of appreciation, United States veteran, in appreciation of your tireless efforts in support of our United States Armed Forces. And underneath it says, we honor your service, your courage, and most of all, your sacrifices. Your dedication to the United States of America, its ideals, and its military is commendable. It is an honorable addition to the freedom you bravely fought and worked for, not only for families in America, but throughout the world. We thank you, Gaffney High School AP US History Class of 2016. And so as I call out the names, if you will come up, and we will present you with your certificate and your book. The students, Taylor Covington, Michelle Chow, if you'll come up, and they interviewed Mr. Danny Gorski. Our next veteran was Terry White. He was interviewed by J.R. Bloomer and Ariella Wall. Wayne Powell, and he was interviewed by Marissa Sheehan and Peyton Hudson. Philip McRoby, interviewed by Emily Brown and Danielle Colston. Danny Rising Sr. was interviewed by Hope Blackwell and Holden McGinnis. Paul Smith, he was interviewed by Colton Simmons and Joshua Gregory. And Mr. Smith, I don't believe, was able to make it tonight. Roy Mathis, interviewed by Caitlin Queen and Jasmine Tate. Mr. J.G. Fowles, interviewed by Joshua Wood and Matthew Hammond.
Well, I want to thank the school for what you're doing, and also the parents of these students. You should be mighty proud. Thank you.
Mr. Jerry White, interviewed by Carleen Delavaugh and Tristan Ellis. Mr. Dean Wyatt, interviewed by Lauren Fowler and Jakiria Dawkins. Major Huffstickler, if you'll come up here. The next one is Terry Huffstickler Sr. Was interviewed by Peyton Campbell and Carson Howell, and Mr. Huffstickler's son, Major Terry Huffstickler, flew in from Washington today and wanted to be present to present your gift to his father. Mr. Danny Holmes, interviewed by Ben Holmes and Courtney Gardner. Mr. Larry Salzman, interviewed by Elizabeth Benson and Tanner Griffin. James Jimmy Estridge. He was trying to make it back from the VA. I had a message in the office that he really wanted to be here. I guess he was unable to make it. I hate that. Darrell H. Carpenter Sr., interviewed by Carly Swafford and Jake Poole. Kenneth Fowler, interviewed by Autumn Woody and Madison Gallman. Stephen L. Wood, I think Stephen was unable to be with us. Billy Richards, interviewed by Colby Richards and Jay Crocker. Kenneth Jolly, Freddie B. Harmon, interviewed by Paul Harper and Destiny Cloud. Michael Garner was also unable to be here. Douglas Horn, interviewed by Tristan Ellis and Alicia Pennington. Terry Martin, and Mr. Arthur T. Ballard, interviewed by Taylor Covington and Hope Blackwood. I want to close by saying how much this meant to me to watch them make that connection. And I put it on the insert, but I want to read it also. It says, "Thank you to all the veterans for taking the time to sit down with my students and help them make the connection to your generation. The life lessons they learned and the memories they made with each of you will not soon be forgotten. You guys are our heroes, and we thank you for your service to our country." And on the back of this, and I've been using your quotes in class quite a bit lately, really. And the 4 on the back, it says, Daniel Gorski said, "You try to forget it, but you can never forget it." And Mr. Wayne Powell said, "I didn't like people burning our flag, taking it and stepping on it." Mr. Roy Mathis said, "It was a long way from home and a long time ago, but God was there." And then Dean Wyatt, and I think this was probably one of my favorite ones that come out. It says, "If we get out of here, the rest of our lives will be a piece of cake." And I use a lot of this and what you have told them and what I know in the classroom. And Colonel Ballard's, his talk that he gave, his speech that he gave, I'm sitting here and as I'm listening to him, a lot of the stories that I listened to my parents, my dad, my uncles tell come back. And I missed Vietnam by about 6.5 years, and I went on and joined after I graduated high school and paid for my education. And my son is career Navy, stationed in Norfolk. And the military just holds a special place in my family's heart. And I know from a lot of the students that I've talked to that it holds a special place in theirs too. And right now, 2 things I want to do. I want to give these guys a hand for their hard work. And then we're going to give the veterans a hand for allowing us to be a part of their life. I also want to thank Dr. Fitzpatrick and Dr. Moore, who, from whether it's teacher cadet, AP, or whatever I do in this high school, out of all the places I've ever been and taught, they get behind their students and they support their teachers. And I mean, we've got a great bunch of kids here at Gaffney High School, and the parents who have raised these kids, I can't say enough about how much that means. Also to Todd for stepping up and kind of being my guiding tool with this, and our former principal, Miss Marlene Davis, who I invited for her spell check, because I gave it to her and she red-handed to death, guys. And but we got it straight, and I hope it looks good. Books will be on sale over here for $10 a piece. The students get a copy, the veterans get a copy. Todd has talked about we'd like to put one in all the libraries here in Cherokee County, the school libraries and the public library. I want to thank the VFW American Legion Post 109 for paying for the publication of this book, because we certainly couldn't have done it without them. Thank you, Todd. We have light refreshments over here. I hope you'll stick around. I know some of the students have said they would like to get their veterans to sign their books. This is something they're going to have for the rest of their life. And I hope as long as I'm here at Gaffney High School, it's just one of many, and I hope to be back up here next year doing the same thing. Thank you all for coming out. Enjoy the refreshments, purchase a book, and let's just